And joining me now on the show is Professor Retsef Levi. Retsef, welcome to Compass.
Thanks, Jason, for having me on the show.
Look, I really appreciate your time today. And just off a tweet that you shared only a short time ago about this new study, and what we're learning now is that it might not be just the COVID mRNA vaccine causing myocarditis, but the platform itself. I'm hoping that you can explain how this all comes together.
Sure, thank you. I would try to simplify the concepts to people. We are calling the mRNA products of Pfizer or Moderna vaccines, but in many ways they are actually not working at all like traditional vaccines. So how a traditional vaccine would work, let's say that we want to vaccinate against a certain virus, we would basically take that virus and either kill it or attenuate it and inject it to the body in a very controlled quantity and essentially imitate exactly the process by which the body will be exposed to the real virus, but hopefully exposing it to a weakened or dead virus and allow the body to develop the immunity, so when it will meet the real virus in real life, the body will be ready. The mRNA products are working in a very, very different mechanism. What do? They essentially are based on genetic code. This is the RNA that is wrapped by nanolipids. And essentially, what is RNA or messenger RNA is a way to give our cells a code that will teach them to produce a certain protein. And what the mRNA COVID vaccines are doing, they basically teach our cells to produce within the cell the spike protein of the SARS-CoV virus. Okay. Now, the problem that these companies have to solve was that the natural RNA that is very critical to many biologic processes within our cells tends to have a very short life, and moreover, without certain modifications, it will be detected very quickly by our immune system and will be basically cleared from our body. So in order to solve that problem, they actually created a modified RNA. That's what is in their products, and kind of wrapped it with nanolipids, which is all meant to basically do two things. A, to hide it from our immune system and allow it to live enough time in our body to actually get into our cells and allow the process to start, where the cells are going to produce the spike protein on the membranes of the cell. And the idea is that at that point, our immune system will think about this as a foreign body, an antigen, and will develop antibodies specific to the spike protein, which ideally will help us fight the virus when our body is exposed to the virus later on. What are the big differences here? Conceptually, the big differences here are that unlike the traditional vaccines, here we are deceiving our immune system by teaching our own cells to produce an antigen that is foreign to the body, which means that every cell of our body that will produce that antigen will be considered by our own immune system as something that needs to be destroyed.
Yes.
And now the question is, how do you control the quantity that you produce? And in fact, unlike traditional vaccines, you cannot control the quantities that are being produced. In fact, we can have good estimates that every time we get a shot of the mRNA vaccines, we actually produce trillions of copies of the spike protein, that, by the way, is known now to be the most toxic part of the virus, right? This is the part of the virus that actually caused the severe illness of COVID by generating different processes in the body, including autoimmune reactions. So we are basically creating a mechanism that we don't have very good control of. And essentially, the most important assumption in the safety paradigms of these vaccines was that we have enough control that it will stay in the ejection site for a short period of time and then be cleared from the body, creating the immune response that we want, but in a controlled way. We know now for sure that doesn't happen, or at least there are many cases for many people in which the mRNA, the lipids that surrounding it, And also the spike that the cells are producing are actually staying in the body, spreading across the body beyond the injection site, and even stay in the body for months. We already know, we have evidence that it's staying for at least several months. We don't know when it's cleared, if at all it's cleared. But now we have, if that's true, and that's true, we are in a very different situation where now the process is completely out of control, and different cells spreading around our body in the bloodstream can produce the spike protein, be considered as something that our immune system should attack. And that gives rise to a major risk for a range of autoimmune and different side effects that could stem from the fact that our body starts to attack itself. Because the cells of the body that are not supposed to produce foreign antigens are starting to produce foreign antigens because they carry the mRNA code that was injected. In addition to that, the nanolipids themselves, what you put around the mRNA to keep it stable, to allow it to penetrate the cells of the human body, this is by itself could be toxic. So that by itself could also cause mechanisms of harm. And we're actually seeing now a range of side effects for these vaccines that is really unprecedented, because almost every system of our body is being affected. We have inflammation of the heart, myocarditis. I will talk about this in just a bit, because that's the recent paper that you just mentioned. We have neurological side effects. We have muscular side effects. We have impacts on the kidneys. We have really a wide range that really fits the concern that this thing is spreading in the entire body. And now it's a matter of where in the specific patient, where it lands in terms of what kind of side effects you might see. Now, in this picture, there are multiple sources of potential harm. One that comes from the spike protein, that is a very, very toxic element. And it's not only toxic, it also has, if you look on its DNA sequence, it also has a lot of homology, similarity to other tissues of the body. So you can also have a mechanism in which the body is trying to protect against spike protein, but then gets confused and starts to sort of see some of the tissues of the body as similar to the spike protein. And then the antibodies that were originated against the spike protein starts to actually attack the body. But also there is other sources of harms that could stem from the nanolipids and the mRNA platform itself. And why is it actually important to understand what is causing what? In fact, it could be that there are multiple mechanisms that are happening at the same time. But the reason why it's important is there are at least two reasons why it's important. One of them is that when you actually want to cure people and treat them, you need to understand what is the mechanism that is causing the side effects of the vaccine. So there is an immediate important need to actually understand the mechanism. But more maybe longer term, we currently have multiple products that are currently in clinical trials that are going to use the same idea of the mRNA platform, namely inject something into your body that gives to your cells a code to produce a protein that is foreign to your body. And if the problem is only the spike protein, that maybe you can argue, okay, we made a bad choice about the spike protein, but maybe other products are okay. But if the problem is also or primarily because of the platform, that actually implies something very concerning to all the future products that are currently being considered, and may say that this platform is actually not ready for use. Just as a side comment, there were many clinical trials with the mRNA platform that actually failed based on safety concerns because of cumulative toxicity. So there are reasons to believe that the platform is actually a source of a problem. Now, back to the study that you mentioned. This study was published in Science and Immunology. It's a very prestigious journal, and it's really investigating one of the most significant side effects that we probably all heard about, which is the inflammation of the heart, myocarditis, pericarditis, where again, there were multiple hypotheses about the underlying mechanism. I think it's fair to say that we still don't understand the mechanism. I think, in fact, Pfizer just recently publicly admitted that they themselves do not understand the mechanism. Unfortunately, they also don't publish results of studies that they did about subclinical myocarditis, and they are already delayed more than 6 months in publishing these results. But what this study found is basically it compared the immune response patients that did have myocarditis versus patients that didn't. All of them were vaccinated, right? And what they found there is that unlike what was initially conjectured, that was mostly kind of thought about the spike as driving this specific side effect, in the sense the hypothesis was that the spike is generating antibodies against the spike. And since the spike has homology, similarity to the tissue of the heart, that could generate a dysregulation of the antibodies being confused between the spike and the heart tissue and attacking the heart. They actually did not find evidence that this is true. And what they found instead is a more generic response of our immune system, the part of our immune system that is not specific to the spike or to any other specific pathogen, but rather than what is called the innate part of our immune system, that is more the more general purpose immune system. And they saw various differences between the people that had myocarditis and the people that did not have myocarditis, that suggest that this is not something very specific to the spike, but something more general that is actually more likely to be driven by the platform. Again, this is not like conclusive completely. There is more research to be done, but that's yet another indication that we probably have with these vaccines multiple issues. Some are specific to the spike protein, and some are more specific to the mRNA platform and the nanolipids that wrapping the mRNA. And that's very, very concerning, again, because of the fact that we currently have multiple products that are being in different stages of clinical trials, both vaccines and non-vaccine drugs that are going to be considered for approval in the next coming months and years.
If that's the case and we're going down this pathway, how is it that the safety protocols are going to pick up that these mRNA products are dangerous, or will they be overlooked like they have with COVID?
So I really hope that they will not be overlooked. I think that, there's something very ambitious in the mRNA concept, in the sense that we are somewhat playing God and tweaking with biology by teaching our body to produce something that our cells are not supposed to produce, and expect and believe that we can actually control that in spite of, if you think about it, each one of us is so heterogeneous that it's somehow hard to believe that it's going to be very easy to control such a process. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I think it's very clear now that this technology is not mature enough to adhere by minimal or reasonable safety standards. So I think that if we ought to consider future mRNA-based products, we have to be very, very stringent and scrutinize the safety of these products for a long period of time before we actually let additional products, if at all, get into the market. I think that people have to understand, traditionally, before you approve a drug, you run very extensive animal tests on animals. You look on the biodistribution of what you inject and what parts of the animal body it's being found or detected. You take a lot of steps to make sure that you have a controlled technology. Most of these steps were skipped when it came to the mRNA COVID vaccine. I don't think that we can afford ourselves keep skipping these essential and critical steps. That, by the way, this is not me saying that they are critical. This was the traditional mainstream regulatory approach driven by the FDA and the other main regulatory agencies in the world. And for some reason, maybe because of the excuse of the emergency that we had around COVID, but that excuse is not going to hold true for future drugs. And I think that we need to reset, say that we are not going to use this technology unless we are 100% sure that we made the necessary changes to make it a controlled technology that can be used safely with reasonable safety assumptions and a reasonable safety paradigm.
That's a very, very good explanation of what we're up against, and we're up against a big, big battle against the big pharma and the mRNA technology. Professor Retsef, Levi, thank you for your time today on Compass.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show, Jason.